Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas.
Hello, beautiful people, and Happy New Year. I'm not going to lie, I was hoping to start this year off on a happier note than a chaotic one. And I really thought that I would ease into this year with maybe taking this week off. But instead, the US had more ridiculous plans. And now let's talk about the United States and the way it treats the world. You might think that big countries have rules, that international law matters, or that the UN actually does something to keep peace. But no, the US started the world with international piracy. It's plain and simple. Like, look at Venezuela. The attack on the economy, their finances, their oil. Powerful countries watch, they nod, or they say they are concerned, but concern does not stop the bullets. It doesn't stop sanctions, and it doesn't stop the plundering that is happening in the country. The US continues to ignore international law as if it doesn't exist, as if treaties, norms, and agreements only apply when they benefit the US. What about the institutions like the UN? They are silent, or they make a statement and they move on. There's no real action, nothing really changes. Meanwhile, Venezuelans are trapped in a system designed to bleed them dry. Their resources are taken, the economy is manipulated, and the ones who suffer the most are ordinary citizens. Who thinks about the long term impact of this? Who asks what this means for the next 5, 10, maybe 20 years of Venezuelan lives? And while they do this, they are still allowed to host global events. The World Cup, like, seriously? Should a country that consistently breaks international law and manipulates entire nations be given the honor of hosting billions of fans in the eyes of the world? Nope. They should be stripped. They should be sanctioned. And the G20 summit, the world's economic leaders should not be meeting in a country that treats international agreements like toilet paper. They act like chaos is part of the plan and no one challenges them. The US doesn't care about stability, only control. And if you're wondering why migration is a problem in America, don't expect the administration to actually admit the truth. They are the ones who created many of these crises, both legal and illegal, and yet they lecture everyone else about border security or responsibility. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. The plundering of Venezuela is obvious. Their oil, their minerals, their natural resources, all manipulated to benefit US interests. Venezuelans live with uncertainty, inflation, and systemic poverty while their resources are siphoned off to billionaires in the US who will be paying even their people $3 per hour and cut their paychecks whenever they feel like it, or just terminate their employment on a whim. And what does this teach the world? That powerful nations can act with impunity, right? That people in those countries have no real control over their lives. Their sovereignty is just a word for decoration, for flags, not reality. And no matter how much the US talks about defending democracy or human rights, the action speaks louder. They've weaponized finance, sanctions, military threat. The population suffers. They need benefits, and the rest of the world claps because confronting them is seen as too risky. What if someone finally said enough? What if countries started holding the US accountable? Will the global order crumble, or would justice actually be served? I mean, it is shocking how persistent the US is in this approach. Year after year, crisis after crisis, they manipulate weaker nations while calling themselves leader of the free world. They ignore rules they claim others must follow. They continue to sanction without cause, and they impose their will economically and militarily. And again, Venezuela shows the human cost people without access to food, medicine, or stable work, while billions of dollars with resources are leveraged to enrich foreign corporations. Imagine how the next decade or two will look if this continues. And yet the US continues like nothing matters. International law is treated as a suggestion. Global forums like the UN are treated as a photo op, and ordinary people pay the price. The question has to be asked: are nuclear weapons really the only language of defense that the US recognizes? Who really is behind the attack on Venezuela? And while we ask these questions, let's be clear: I don't expect any lectures from the US about immigration or borders anymore. Never again will they cry about illegal immigration when they do this to other countries. They created the problems they now pretend to solve. They weaponized economies, undermined governments, and destabilized entire regions. Immigration is a direct consequence of those policies. And yet their leaders act like they are surprised. They point fingers at everyone else. They lecture the world while continuing the very practices that create suffering. And at the end of the day, the situation is simple. Powerful nations are only as accountable as the world forces them to be. And the US has proven time and again that without real consequences, they will continue to manipulate, attack, and plunder using ordinary people as collateral. The lesson right now is to watch the actions, not the words. Look at Venezuela, look at history, look at the UN, and remember this: until the world stops rewarding lawless behavior with global platforms, events, and forums, and the cycle continues. Ordinary citizens everywhere will continue to suffer while powerful nations profit from them. And yet, somehow, nobody stops them.